G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. Today we are going through captain options, we're going through trade targets, we're answering your questions, we're having a few beers. Let's go!
Just done it from nowhere. Fighting the goal from inside the centre. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty. Petty. Petrarca. Oh wow. How good is that? The legend becomes immortal.
G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. We've completely muffed the intro on our first ever live session,
man. I don't know what the people out there could hear. Could they? Mitch has played the NBA intro. So were they here in AFL or was it just an absolute shit show?
I think they were here in AFL, but I think the audio podcast is going to be shambles. But welcome, guys, to the first ever live.
Are we live? Can people actually see us? I don't even know.
Give us some thumbs up.
Somebody in the comments, let us know if you can actually see us. Is this thing actually working?
Are we on? Let's go. We're talking to you guys live on a Friday afternoon. We've got some Friday. We've got some Constable is out. Got told by Mitch to hold Smith. Yes, okay. We've got some comments coming through. But we're talking all sorts of things in the AFL fantasy community.
Oh my goodness.
Lots of news to talk about here today, Luke.
Hey, Dead said I raced home from work to come and do this. I quickly sit down to drop the kids off at the pool, and now I'm finding out that Constable's going to screw us.
Yeah, well,
what the hell's going on?
There was a bit of panic last night with the teams dropping, and he was named on the extended bench.
Yep.
And some people were nervous, but we sort of thought, he played pretty well last week. He played better last week than he did week one.
We always knew it was going to be a thing, but didn't we? We always knew when those guys came back. I didn't think it was this short term.
Yeah, we'd hoped for a month, but it looks like we're not going to get quite that long. Troy W confirms that we are on.
We are
actually talking to people right now.
Okay.
But yes, so it looks like if I just have a look at the teams now, literally we hit record just at 4 o'clock.
Oh my God, it's all happening
and it looks like, yes, Charlie Constable has been omitted. Will Powell is in. Jai Farah is back in. And also Bodie Uland, who we did know was out as well. So I think, is he in the emergencies? Yeah, so this is the tough thing as well with the Charlie Constable situation. He is named emergency. They used Sexton as the sub last week.
Yep.
It's so risky because if you've got someone like a Wilmot on your bench and you've got the emergency on him,
so you're talking,
you don't want to rely on Constable being out
in case he's the sub.
Because then you won't get to use the emergency score. So,
yeah.
The other thing we've got to check here is Chesser as well, and it looks like he has held his spot, is what I'm looking at here. Yes, so Chesser is held his spot, so he's still in the team at the moment. So there's no confirmed red dots. So if you had a Wilmot on your bench last night with the emergency on him, it's a very nervous wait to use him as your emergency and your loophole to get him on. And of course, because they play the Sunday and you might have someone like a Lockie Cowan playing the Saturday night, you're going to want to make that decision before that. You're not going to know whether it's going to be the sub or not. Right. So it's a very tough decision here, and rightfully so. A lot of people are panicking.
We'll talk in more depth, I think, when we talk trades later, what we do in that regard. But
so we'll definitely get stuck into that.
We want to chat a little bit about last night. And Bevo was in fine form. He seems to be doing something different every week, doesn't he? So
he does, yeah.
Makes it bloody hard for us fantasy coaches to keep up. The doggies looked good last night, and we'll talk about reasons why that's actually no good for us in terms of Bailey Smith owners, because Bailey Smith, I think, he had one CBA. He saved his score was like a 70.
71 he had,
We had 30 in the last quarter and actually played well.
Yeah,
which
they
means,
did well.
Does that mean he stays in that role?
Yeah, it's not good. It's definitely not good. I think, I was in the camp of, and a few people asked me, and I know some people are angry in the comments right now, but
are they blowing up?
I don't think so, but
come for Mitch's head, guys. Get at him.
Yeah, so I think there's a few angry people out there. I'm angry myself. I'm not happy with the performance. 71 points from a guy.
Mate, a lot of us had forced me to start with him, you prick.
Hey, I think at one point you had him at M3 on that rolling 22.
Yeah,
so
okay.
We were both on board. You're supporting the mullet, so
yeah, I was.
Look, for your M1, it's not what you want. one CBA, I think that's the more concerning thing. Like, say he was in there the whole time. He's getting 60% CBAs.
Like the role. Yeah.
The role was there, and he got 71. I'm less panicking. But watching the way that the Bulldogs play, clearly Treloar went in there to be a bit more of that defensive-minded guy. Bont and Libra are the mainstays in there.
Yeah, and then Buddy
McRae's probably going to still be in there more.
How about those people who traded McRae?
Yeah, well, was it the right move, do you think? It's so hard to tell.
I mean, yeah, and that's the thing is like with all the information that those people had at hand at that point, I think I would have done the same thing. Do you know what I mean?
I was an advocate, and I tweeted this out the day of that. If it's a move that gets you to near must-have in like a center field, and on the other side of it, it allows you to do an upgrade and maybe get out of this this Constable situation, or gets you an upgrade on the other side where you can get in maybe two, like a Zeeble and a center field, or it fixes out something else on the ground, that I'm all for it. I wasn't for it when if it was something that you did that kept cash in the bank.
Yeah.
So I hope I made myself clear with that part. But I think it's hard with these trades. You never judge them after 1 week.
You got to let it play out.
You got to let it play out. And it's also, he scored 110. CBAs were still down compared to what you wanted them to be. A lot of people were picking him in the preseason with the hope that he returns that 70-plus CBA role.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's happening, especially if there is a healthy Adam Treloar in the side. So I still think that it's not disasters if you trade him. I wouldn't be stressing out too much. 110, look, it's a decent score, but it's not a Rory Laird 140 on your head if you traded him out the week before. So if you traded him, I wouldn't panic too much. Just cross your fingers that those mid-process you brought in do go well. So
we're taking Dunks VC. What are we doing?
I am. 116. I think
it went up.
Yeah, it was 114.
Did you see Bont went down?
Yeah, Bont went down, and Bailey Smith went down.
Did
too.
he?
Yeah, they both lost. I think Bont lost 3, Baz lost 2. And Dunks.
What is Bont? Didn't he have like a 50-point first quarter?
Yeah, like 43 or something like that. He was on 75 at half-time, finished on 94, so had 19 points in the second half. So he's yet to ton up, but look, he still looks like a gun. Look, 90s, it's not ideal, but you paid 100 for him.
But it kills us when blokes out there own Brayshaw, Oliver, Laird, and you're getting 90s consistently and they're getting 130s.
Yeah. I think Bont's, and I said this from the start, Bont's the safest in the midfield, I think, in terms of his role.
In terms of their role, yeah.
But yeah, I think you take Dunk's VC. I was very happy to see that. I think Sharkers was hoping that we'd be talking about a 138 today, but 116 we'll have to settle for. It's the best captain score I've had so far this season.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy to lock that away, and it makes me a little bit less nervous going up against those Olivers and Lairds out there, especially when I had a Jack Steele that I had to trade down. If you were doing that kind of an option, I think that if you have that kind of a captain score, it makes that kind of a move feel a bit better, in my opinion. So
I feel you.
If we just go back to Bailey Smith real quick.
Yeah. You love talking about him.
Yeah, I know.
Now you want to talk about trading him.
Yeah, well, are we trading him? What are your thoughts initially? Again, we've only had one game. There's plenty of bullets still to come. Probably, with the Constable bullet today.
People will be in different situations. So if you've got other things that you think are urgent fix-ups, like really failed mid-prices, that might come into priority. But I think people are starting to settle their teams in terms of those mid-prices. So next week, he very much could be on the chopping block, especially, I know he's probably going to drop 20, a little bit more, perhaps. You can probably crunch those numbers.
Based on the price projector that I had here, he was going to drop down to 888,000.
Okay, but he's still around that mark where you could do a little downgrade somewhere and then pop him up to one of the Uber premiums as well. So I think if it looks like that role might stick, which, the Bulldogs won, then there's the potential to try and trade away from him and go up to somebody more solid. I'm
in the camp that if disaster
how much is it going to pain you?
Yeah, look, I know it sucks. He's been our boy. I've been championing him. I called him the Brayshaw of this season. It doesn't look like that's happening. There was signs there, and obviously we expected a different role. It was there week 1. Halfway through last game, it changed, and obviously this last game, it changed even for the worse. So I think that we only can go off what we know, and I think next week is probably... It's getting close to the last chance that you have to trade out premiums like that before we get into upgrade season. So I'm very keen to move off him. If I can, I'd love to go up to one of those guys. There's sort of like a big 3, like a Laird, Brayshaw, and Oliver.
Yep.
Which are sort of like your lock-away captains every week.
Yep.
I'm also watching a character like Josh Kelly on the weekend, see how he comes back after his concussion. I know you traded him out, but he's going to be at a very similar price to to someone like a Bailey Smith.
Yeah.
Took Miller is another one I'm watching as well.
Yep.
Slower start. He will be maybe a little bit more of a step up, but maybe not quite as high as this $1 Million Man. But if we have the opportunity, I will be trying my best to trade a Bailey Smith next week. But
I'll get a video of Mitch when he presses that trade button. He's probably going to be in tears.
It'll be so sad. But unfortunately, you got to admit when you're wrong, and it looks like
very, very well done of you, mate. That's very big
just
of
be
you.
the bigger man. But I'm sorry if I brought you on the Bailey Smith experience. So far, we didn't trade up $1 million for him. It's not as bad as a Roy Laird going 50 on him round one, but it is obviously not ideal either. He will probably get DPP if this keeps up, though.
He will. You got to stop talking about it. What else have we got to talk about?
Let's move on. All right, let's go on to talk about our trade targets. So, few different things we're going to cover today really quickly, I think very obviously, but if you guys do not have the big 5 rookies, particularly the big 4, Harry Sheasel, Ruben Jinby, Will Ashcroft, Cam McKenzie, and Cade Chandler is the 5th guy. I think they're your number 1 priority still. It's not too late to jump on them. By no means they're still going to go up a whole bunch of cash, but I think they are still your must-have guys. And then we're going to get to the mid-prices. So the mid-prices have been the talk of the week on a lot of podcasts, a lot of things. Obviously, 2 most traded in players are Will Setterfield and Jack Zeeble. Very similar to the trades that I'm looking at doing this week. But in terms of priority, I'm going to be ranking them number 1 still Will Setterfield. Most confident with his role, his security. I think he's just looked amazing so far. I'm very happy to lock him as my number 1. Will Day was number 3 on my list, but he's actually moved up number 2 now with the Charlie Constable news. So I think back-to-back 90s.
If you don't have Day and you have Constable and you've got to sort that situation.
I think if you don't have if you don't have Day and you've got Constable, if you can get him up to a Day, that's a perfect trade. And I think I would definitely tick that off. Number 3, who was my number 2, is Jack Zeeble. I was a bit unsure in the podcast we did earlier in the week. I've done some more research on Jack Zeeble and what I expect him to do moving forward. And I think that I looked at his numbers in 2021 when he had a similar role. He averaged 100 for the season, but a lot of those numbers were boosted by early season numbers without a Aaron Hall in the side. Like that's when he had his junk time special 170.
What do we think? Do you think if Hall comes back, or is Hall back?
I don't think. Last I checked, I don't think Hall was back.
So do we think that Hall gets played in the role that Zeeble's being played in at the moment?
No, I don't think so. I think Sheasel is playing the Aaron Hall role right now. He's playing the guy that's got completely no responsibility on
let's
defense.
be real. I mean, Aaron Hall comes in, he'll be gone in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, he'll do a hammy or something like that. So there's every chance he does a hammy in the VFL this weekend.
Death taxes and Aaron Hall to be injured, I think.
Yeah, so look, and he hasn't come in this weekend, which is good, and I think that a lot of North fans have said they don't really want to see him in that side. So I think...
Yeah, they're onwards and upwards.
Yeah, I think it would take a dramatic fall-off in what they're doing or an injury somewhere for that to happen. So I think Jack Zeeble is safe. He's probably not going to average the 100 that he did that year, but if we just compare the roles, so say he's got the role that he had when Hall was in the side. After Aaron Hall came into the side in 2021, he averaged 92.5 in 2021. So I'd expect that he's at least a 90 averaging guy from here.
Yeah, and I mean, on that line that we're expecting him to go to, or on the line that he's on now, that's still
it's close enough to
pick.
A top 6 kind of a level. It's sort of top 8 to 10 in those positions.
Which is fine.
And the fact that he will definitely gain DPP in round 6 is super handy. It's frustrating that he doesn't have it now.
Yeah, man, we could do with that defender status.
We absolutely could, but I think he is my number 3. Number 4, I have James Worpel, and number 5, I have Liam Stocker.
Glossed over Warple there, mate. Done all that Warple bashing in the preseason.
Yeah, just hiding
we're happy to turn around.
Look, Warple's still good. There are concerns. Will Day took over, went past him in the CBAs last week.
Yeah, and his scoring still fluctuates even within games. I think he's still valid to be 4th on that mid-price target list.
He's still so cheap, though.
Yeah, he is. But he'll have a 40-point quarter, and then he'll go and have a 7-point quarter, and you're like, hang on.
He's still only priced at 62, so he goes 80 still from here. It's still nearly 20 points of upside. So I think he's still a valid option. And Liam Stocker is maybe someone that we should spend a bit more time talking about, because the
stockbroker.
Stockbroker, the Wolf of Wall Street, as a potential option for people to jump on, if they've got a Constable issue. I was keen on him at the start of the week. I still think that there is a scenario that he could be a great play. I'm less excited about it the more I've thought about it since that podcast.
Well, if you have the opportunity to bring in Setterfield and Zeeble, which I think you do this week, then
Yeah.
that Stocker option becomes a less exciting option.
Yeah, so the option that I think many teams will have, so say you've gone already a Jack McRae down
Yeah.
to, say, a Setterfield type or
yeah.
a Steele down, like
Yeah.
I've done this week. You've got a fair bit of cash. For me, I already have a Will Day. The cash is still at that awkward range, though, that if I put that cash on a Constable's head, it doesn't get me anywhere that I'm super happy with. I think the best player that I can get to would be someone like an Andy McGrath, who does have a good matchup this week, but we've all kind of been a bit underwhelmed with McGrath's scoring so far, and I don't think he's a top 6 or a top 10 in that line.
And if you've got that much cash and you're going up, you want to go up to something that you're just locking away for the season.
I
and you're
think
just
so.
feeling really good about it, I think.
Especially like a Constable, he's got a break even of 2. So look, let's say he is the sub.
Yep.
And he does come on. There's every chance that he still makes more cash.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe your options next week when you've got, you know, a fresh set of data and stuff like that you could move him on. So at the moment, and every team's going to be a little bit different, I think there is definitely a play to hold him and just move a rookie onto the field, which I think is where I'm leaning, and I'm still probably prioritising getting in a Zeeble, getting in someone like a Setterfield, and just trying to hold down the defensive line at least for another week or two until those DPPs come in. But it's a very tricky situation. I think a lot of teams will be very different.
Yeah. Well, let's say there's a team with they've already got Setterfield, they've already got Zeeble. Do they just try and find a little bit of cash? They go Constable to Stocker and just call it a day there, do you think? Or
that could be the play. That could be the play.
If you've got no other fix-ups.
If you've got no other fix-ups, I think it's definitely an upgrade. There is a world that Stocker comes out and stinks.
Yeah.
He's sort of like their third distributor behind a Sinclair, behind Wanganeen Manira.
Wanganeen and Mahuna?
Yeah. But he's done well in terms of his tackles the last couple of games. He has been getting their marks. They have played well. So there's a risk that he falls away when they maybe are beaten or something like that. But they do have... who have they got this week? I can't remember. Oh, they've got Essendon. So, look, tougher matchup than maybe they've had the last couple of weeks, but still, you know, not the hardest of matchups. So, I think I'm 50-50 on that call.
Okay.
I'd be trying to get maybe a rookie up, maybe a Campbell Chesser up, if you could.
Yeah.
But it is maybe a move that you could do. Other options, if you don't want to pay up that much, is maybe someone like who's the Eagles guy that I've got there?
Cole?
No, I'm thinking of someone else.
So I think someone put that in the comments.
Like a Hunt.
Cole from the Eagles.
Like a Jaden Hunt is actually cheaper than someone like a Constable. You make 12K by doing that kind of a trade.
His brother Mike is not a bad player as well.
Oh, don't be careful, mate. We're live. we can't put the explicit tag on
Mike,
this podcast.
Jaden Hunt's brother.
Oh, careful. You bloody ox longs, you. But I think he could be an option. I just worry with all these options, if we cast our minds back 12 months ago to a player called Jake Bowie, and a lot of us got stuck.
Do we have to cast him
with a player like that? And, you know, we have forced trades over the next few weeks, and it's hard to get those kind of players out if they don't work. It's just, and there's no guarantee that they, you know, outscore someone like a Lockie Cowan by 30, 40 points.
Yeah.
Where you could maybe make that up on the other end by getting in a Zeeble over someone like, you know, a Tom Powell or over someone like a Jason Horne-Francis, for example. Like, I expect there to still be maybe a 20-point difference between those players. You're getting closer to that top 6 mark, either in forward or defence.
Yeah.
And you're just crossing your fingers that someone like a Cowan can go 50 this week.
Well, we kind of alluded to that off air just before. We were talking about the fact that we might likely hold Constable this week and play that rookie with the foresight that, like you said, we're hoping that a guy like Zeeble swings back. Sheasel is going to get defender status, so it might be a couple of weeks of pain there.
It's just that stretch to round 6 when the DPPs come in.
And how much pain can you endure knowing that you're going to swing a couple of guys that way? So
Yes. It's look, it's a very tough question. I think, like, the other thing that is another wrinkle in this is if you had a Wilmot on your bench and you had the emergency on him, I'd be really nervous trying to wait for that emergency.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I'd still probably be trying to move like a Cowan, for example, onto your field instead of relying on crossing your fingers that he's not the sub come Sunday, because there's every chance that he is.
Yeah.
And he gets subbed in 3/4 times. You don't get that emergency score. You get whatever he produces in 1 quarter, which chances are it's less than a 20-point game. I think that in that instance, I'd still be trying to either use a trade or put Lockie Cowan on there, because at least Lockie Cowan's going to get at least 3/4, even if he is subbed out. He'll get 3/4 compared to Constable's 1. So tricky situations, but that's sort of what I'm thinking about there.
So we've got a couple of premium targets as well to quickly talk about as well. So
so this is sort of like, say you've got a Jack Steele scenario,
Yep.
and you wanted to move him up instead of down, which is
Yep.
definitely a play. I've sort of just ranked a few guys that I think here are the number 1 priorities. Number 1, I've got Nick Dacos there. I think he plays obviously tonight. He's a captain option. We'll go through some big boys later. He will make an appearance.
Surely the Tigers aren't going to a tag.
No, I don't think they're going to tag him, at least not aggressively. I think they've talked about the system trying to stop them, and based on what we've seen last week, the system won't do well at that.
No, Christ.
So I think he's still number 1 option in terms of premiums.
Yep.
He looks like he could even, challenge, dare I say, at a Doherty for a D1 position if it keeps going the way he does. So he's definitely underpriced. I personally would still be trying to chase those mid-price guys because they're more underpriced.
Yeah.
Like he's probably 5 to 10 unders of what he'll average.
Yep.
Whereas those other guys are like 15, 20.
Yeah, this is a scenario where you had Steele, but you've already got Setterfield, you've already got Warple.
That's what I would be doing.
You could go up. You could go Dacos. You got Errol Goulden on the list, mate.
I've got Errol Goulden because some people don't have him out there.
Why?
I don't know.
We told everyone to get him.
Maybe not the people listening live right now. But
worst kept secret, wasn't it?
I think, Errol Goulden isn't a lot of sides, but I think we've seen the role so far continue these first couple of rounds. Last week, they all kind of shared the love against the Hawthorns, so I think he could have scored better if it was a more heated game, but I think he is definitely still someone I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Darcy Cameron, the goggles.
Well, the goggles.
He's out.
Yeah.
I think he's out for over a month, I think the word is.
What was it? He had some sort of like obscure illness or something, didn't he?
A rib injury, I want to say.
Was it something that he sustained in the game, or was it...
Yeah, I don't remember exactly
at
what
the
it
after
was,
party?
but yeah, maybe. I don't know. Who knows with that guy?
I wonder if he wears his goggles to the clubs. Just make sure everyone in Melbourne knows who he is.
Just in case he goes to the champagne shower.
Yeah,
or something.
true.
Yeah.
It's like the ski goggles.
Yeah, the championship celebration.
7 foot tall and wearing goggles. That's Mason Cox.
Yeah, yeah, he'll stand out. But I think Darcy Cameron, if you've got like a Max Gawn issue, I think you can make cash still by going Gawn down to him.
Yep.
I think I'd be tempted to do that and use that cash to sort of fix something else. So he's high on that list. If you want to go to the big dogs and you want to get a captain option because Steele was that for you,
The Ball Boys, big boys.
I'd be trying to get Rory Laird in first. He's already lost 60.
He's cheaper than Clary at the moment,
He's
isn't
cheaper than Clara. He's lost 66,000 from his starting price.
Yeah.
He's obviously come back and had that big score last week. He might still lose a little bit of cash, but not a whole lot. So I'd be happy jumping on him. And then I've got Clary Oliver after that. And then I've got a couple of value guys. LDU, Josh Kelly, and Tom Green. All that kind of discounted price where I think they're going to be
LDU,
100.
Josh Kelly, Tom Green.
Yes. I'm still doing
Some
it that.
people would go LDU, Tom Green, Josh Kelly, maybe.
Kelly's a tough one because obviously he's coming back from concussion.
But he looked good. How good did that roll look before
It looked
he went
really,
and
really juicy.
headbutted Rob?
And we were keen on him in the preseason.
Yeah.
It is a tough one to
It
launch
actually pains
into.
me that he's still not on my team, mate.
Yeah. I'll pull one out for you, mate. But I still think LDU, despite the tag that he's probably going to get this week, a lot of people won't go there because of that reason, which will keep him unique. It is a risky play, but I think long term for the season, he's still going to be that 105, 106 plus averaging player. So I think it's worth it in the end. And then lastly, I've got Andrew Brayshaw. I just think that if you're paying that much for a player, I'd rather just go to those other two guys who are a bit more, they can't really be tagged out of the
Laird
game.
and Clary, that is.
Yeah, Laird and Clary. So I'd probably just be going him last. All right.
Beautiful. We got some trade out targets.
Players who are trading out. So obviously injured premiums, number one.
You got to go on Steele. Got to go.
Failed mid prices. So I guess in this list here we've talked about in the run sheet, I haven't put a Constable in here.
Yep.
Where do you think, so you've got like your Tanner Bruhn,
Yep.
Your Tom Powers, Jason Horne-Francis. Where would you put Constable on that list? The only issue with Constable is he doesn't have much money on his head.
Yeah, and it's hard to... I guess he is a failed mid-pricer, isn't he? Because he's not playing.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like we've got a rookie that's been named that we think is going to pop to go down to him,
Yeah,
so you can't really make
defense.
cash. What do we think? Do we think it's the 1 week thing, or do we think it's the old sorry, bro, you're gone?
Well, Farah's the one, right? So he was dropped last week.
Yeah.
So
And now he's back in, and
he's back in. So there's every chance that next week Constable's back in, Farah's out.
who do Gold Coast play this week?
They play. Let me double check. I think it's Geelong. So it's another tough matchup. Every chance they lose again.
But losing is good in terms of maybe
and
Constable.
they move something around again.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, I would let the upgrade dictate what you do in terms of, like if
where you can go.
If Jason Horne-Francis gets you that extra bit of cash on his head, gets you to someone better,
do that.
But I'm still in favour of trading out him, even though he's playing this week, than a Constable. Because I think we're still early enough in the season that you want to get on these guys that are your ticket to, getting them at as cheap as they're going to be. Rather, because look, really, Constable, we started him as like an overpriced rookie.
Yeah, we did.
So if a rookie gets
we knew
dropped,
it was an experiment.
It's not always a forced trade. So I'm kind of viewing that the same way with the Constable.
Yeah,
so
I think that's a fair enough call.
So I'd be, in terms of priority trade out, I'd be trading out a Tanner Bruhn.
Yeah.
I'd be trying to trade out those poor R2 if you started with a Lysette, if you started with a Draper. I think they're priority trades as well.
Tommy Powell.
Tommy Powell doesn't have the role. Jason Horne-Francis are probably all priorities for me.
Horne-Francis or Sheed first?
Horne-Francis.
Yep.
Yeah, Horne-Francis. Sheed has the role, I trust his scoring consistency more.
Yeah.
We obviously seen that Horne-Francis has got a lower floor, so I think he's the guy that can burn you more easily. I'd probably then trade out Constable before a Dom Sheed, though. Because at least Sheed, I'm confident
the role's
in
still there. He could come out and pop a 110 and it wouldn't be a surprise.
He could.
Because he's around the ball. It would just take a few things to go his way. So I agree with that, yeah.
I still think if it gets you someone like Setterfield, it might be still worth it. But Sheed's the kind of guy that maybe you go and move a Constable over him. But I think all those other guys we named before, I'd probably move on still before Constable and just play that rookie on ground.
Yep.
Especially if you are coming down from a big dog like a McRae or a Steele. Hopefully that gave you the cash to get a rookie up to another mid-pricer. So it kind of, it almost feels like you've got the same amount of rookies on field than you would have anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like you're taking a step back and having more rookies on the ground. So hopefully that's the case. And the last kind of things that we're sort of moving on are poor rookies. So Campbell Chesser, I think obviously you like your holding on him.
Yeah.
Those Noah Long and Cowan types. So I think those guys are sweet. Let's maybe move on to this little category down the bottom here.
Oh, we got the Ball Boys, Big Boys.
All right, let's.
Wait, let me see if I can get this graphic thing happening. Okay, I got to click here, and then I think I've got a bloody.
All right, let's move on to it. Workshopping this live here.
Are you ready?
Yeah, here we go.
3, 2, 1. Is it going to work?
Hey. And the graphic is there as well. So. Captain options, mate. Just want to gloat a little bit.
I wonder
first.
if people actually saw that. Did that actually work?
I'm not even sure. We'll have to rewatch this back, but we'll see how we go. But the big boys, they went pretty well last week, mate.
Well, talk to us about how well the big boys went. Didn't you have
2 players out of my 10 didn't turn up? One of them was a Dunkley who got 97, so he's pretty close. Doherty was the other one, which I actively. We're on there. Doherty was the other one who I actively tweeted out before saying I thought there was better options.
Yeah.
I think our top 5 averaged like 122. So,
mate, Mitch and his big boys.
Pumping up
Mitch
tires.
Mitch loves his big boys.
Jesus Christ, mate. We're all primed ready for a big crash this week.
Don't say that.
The table is set. So
we're on the up and up, mate. Who have we got this week?
Number 1. He's had 2 weeks at number 2. Clayton Oliver is the number 1.
Clary.
I think against Sydney, he's the highest averaging player. So taking the low-hanging fruit here. But if you've got him in your side, I think he's your fallback option. Number 2, Rory Laird against Port Adelaide. It is Port.
Is that why you didn't go Laird 1?
That's why he's not number 1.
Okay.
I probably would have tried to get him lower down, but this week there's a lot of captains that I haven't really gone, yes, that's like, let's lock that in.
Bit of showdown action for Laird. I think he's going to
bring
it.
Showdown. So he's got his legs back a little bit more. Check the weather. It's not too hot down in Adelaide. So,
check the weather.
Hopefully he's good.
Lady.
Number 3, I've got Andrew Brayshaw. The matchup you would think is nice, but last year he versed him twice, got tagged twice.
Oh, really? Who tagged him last?
I can't remember the name of the player that was tagging him.
West Coast is normally the buffet.
They normally feast, but last week, player like Cogs got off to a flyer, only finished on 105. Jinby ran next to a Tom Green most of the game, so they might do something similar to a Brayshaw this week.
Yeah.
So got him down a little bit, even behind someone like a Roulette against a tough matchup in Port, but he's still good. Timmy T against Collingwood.
Collingwood are typically a great matchup for middies.
Typically.
So
this year, though, they've actually been very restricted the first two games.
I think I might have been watching On the Couch or something, and there was a stat suggesting that Collingwood have really tidied up their clearance work in terms of their ranking in the AFL. How do you think that the Hopper and also
Short is out.
Yeah,
Dusty's out.
How do you feel that impacts Timmy T? You think it helps him?
It has to help him. He's probably going to see high time on ground. He's going to be in every centre bounce when he's in there. I don't think he's going to be resting. Esky, yeah, it's warming up in here. But I think it can only help. I think I'm not trying to put too much stock into the restrictive pies so far this season. It's with 2 game sample size.
Yeah.
So I still think that they're not going to tag.
Yeah.
Timmy Taranto is just a gun player. So I think I've still got him high on my list.
Okay.
And a lot of people will have him. Number 5, Tuke Miller against Geelong. He's had a few big games against Geelong in the past. I think... first couple of games after interrupted preseason, he's been getting his legs. Still ticking over 100.
Up on the GC, I think.
It's on the Gold Coast. Yeah. So
humid.
Yeah, 0-2. The team needs a big win from him. So I think he's the kind of guy that will lift.
Yep, good call.
So I think he's going to go big. This is where I had some of the guys from last night. I had Tim English over Josh Dunkley. Obviously, a little bit of a difference there, but that's where I had Josh Dunkley. So Josh Dunkley was the highest player I had on that team outside of Tim Taranto. So he was my VC.
I think he did well for that.
So glad he got it done. This is where I've got Nick Dacos now at number 8.
Nicky Dacos is on the Ball Boys Big Boys.
First appearance, against Richmond.
Well-earned appearance.
I think so. I think we're just going to let him run free. We're not going to be trying to stop him too much. And with all the outs we have, it could... I don't want to say the B word, but it could be a bit of a bloodbath tonight.
Could get messy, couldn't?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully for our sake, Richmond put up at least a decent amount of a fight.
If I have a few more beers, there might be some very violent tweets getting around if the Tigers are getting rolled tonight. So just stay tuned on that.
Yeah. So stay tuned on Twitter. See if you encourage more kids to go out there and get on the bags.
I don't. No. Mate,
I'm kidding, man.
The kids aren't on Twitter. There's no chance.
That's all good. No, I know you weren't encouraging that. But
I was going to say something bad.
But no,
I'll get in trouble.
He probably does better. Bailey Smith talking about there. Number 9, Sam Doherty. The Giants have been actually pretty tough for defenders to score against so far this year.
Don't tell me
that. Sam Doherty, whilst he is obviously the best out there, I think I'd probably still edge Dacos in a more friendly matchup over him.
Yep.
And then number 10. Obviously, the last guy played last night, Bontempelli, who looks like it was going to be a great pick.
Mate, that was going to be a masterstroke.
But obviously, faded towards the end.
When do you, just out of interest, if he just continues on doing his 95 thing, where does that leave you with him?
He's probably going to be the guy that you have to hold to the buys because we're getting very close to upgrade season. And as soon as it's upgrade season, you're not trading players like that out because it's a race. And after we start upgrading, and if you do any sideways moves. Yeah. You're going to fall one trade behind the rest of the pack.
If you're looking to trade out a guy who, on his week, could potentially go 140, that's, it's not
Look, his floor has been 90 so far. For a premium that you paid 100 for, it's frustrating, but in reality, it's not the worst. So, we've got to keep a little bit of perspective there on Bont. Who
was stiff to miss this week?
Stiff to miss. Josh Kelly, I think, has a friendly matchup, but again, coming back from concussion, I wouldn't go there straight away. LDU, worried about the McGuinness tag, so I probably wouldn't do that one.
Yep.
Couple of mid-prices, Setterfield and Green. I'm just not confident enough yet that they're going to be captain materials. I think most teams should have someone better. Ron Marshall is a guy that I've been asked about. Against Sam Draper, I'm just a little worried that we watched last week Witts scrape his way to an 84.
Yeah, but Witts is a big cumbersome bloke, and Draper ran him up and down the ground.
He tied him out.
Rowan Marshall's more
Rowan
likely to run Draper
will fare
around.
better, I think.
I
still think it's enough for me not to want to put the C on him. He might be a good VC option.
Yeah. Okay.
They play Saturday night. I just think most teams would have something better that I feel more confident in.
Yeah.
Just based on what I saw last week. But he could go big. So I don't hate it. He might be there at number 11. So yeah, there's a few options there. So obviously we're taking the Dunkleys, but You know, if you went someone else or have someone else coming up, those are your Ball Boys big boys.
Mate, and the big boys have been on in the last couple of weeks, so listen to Mitch, guys.
Yeah, well,
he knows what he's talking
I'm
about.
setting the table up for a big
What's
crash and burn
your
here.
ranking at the minute? Where are you at?
Oh, at the minute? Oh, I've had a few players play last night. I'm at 1783, but obviously I had Bailey Smith and Bont play last night, who were somewhat unique, so not really, leaning in too much to that.
Credibility.
Should we take some questions?
Yeah. Do we get any questions on Twitter? I mean, we got some in the live chat.
Let's hit the live chat. Let's reward the people that are
questions.
here live.
We'll scroll back to the top here. It's real tech boffins at work
Yeah,
here.
okay, so we've
See
got...
anything you like?
Let's go maybe Thomas here. We talked about this earlier, but Jaden Hunt or play an extra rook on field?
I'm taking Jaden Hunt just so I can talk about his brother Mike.
Oh, jeez, you're all about the content, aren't you? Look, it depends on the opportunity cost of...
Yeah. What are you going to get from, like the trade that you would
trade
have
that you
made?
didn't do.
Yeah. So
yeah,
what do you think?
If, for example, you didn't have much money to do much else with the trade, then go Jaden Hunt. I think he'll score better than Cowan. His break-even's decent with that 80 they scored last week.
Yeah.
Could go well. If you have a bit of money in the bank and you can, do something with that, then I would just play the rookie on field. For my trades, for example, I think I'm still going to get someone like a Zeeble in for one of my forward rookies and just play Cowan on field. So that's what I'm doing.
And that's what kind of Sean was alluding here. He asked, is there a world where you keep Constable? And we kind of alluded to that as well. If you feel confident that...
I'm comfortable doing it, I think.
Yeah, and your trades that you're making this week are really great trades for your cash generation and everything, then you might feel comfortable fielding either one of Cowan or Chester if you already had Wilmot last night. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's going to be a nervous watching Lockie Cowan
certainly will be.
in terms of his scoring.
What do you think's par for the course then when you do make that decision? What are you hoping for?
I'm hoping for a 50. He's given us a 35 and a 40 so far.
So
last game we did get subbed.
So is 40 a pass, 50's good, and 60's great? Like
60 you're pretty stoked with.
Yeah.
50 you're hoping for. 40's not ideal, but it's not disaster still because I think a lot of people are... a lot of people in the same boat.
A few people in there getting into Bailey Smith. Don't get into Bailey Smith, guys. Get into Mitch.
Yeah, get into me. I'm sorry, guys. I'll wear that one.
What is the go with this bloke? Headbutting blokes on the bag publicly last year, and he's scoring well. And then he goes all natural.
Yeah, my body's a temple.
Body's a temple, Dalai Lama type stuff. And
71. Yeah.
That stinks.
I actually want to check and see if he did he even have a 71 all last year. I think that might be his lowest score of the last 2 seasons.
Somebody, I don't know what the clubs are in Melbourne, but somebody needs to get him out to one of these clubs and really give him a bit of a hit around the head.
Yeah.
And, get him back to Bailey Smith that we know and love.
He had a 63 last year, so one score below 71. So chances, I mean, look.
It's a bit of Bevo too. Yeah. I mean, we're harsh on Baz, but there's a bit of Bevo involved.
Obviously, you got shifted for one CBA. That's just not going to do. That just won't do. What other questions have we got here?
Nice from Thomas.
Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for having you on, guys. If you guys are enjoying the live stream, make sure you guys have given this video a big thumbs up and you are subscribed. As you can see, we're getting pretty bloody close to hitting our 1,000 subscribers. So
I don't know how
help us on your way.
I don't know how the quality's coming through as well. I think I'm kind of getting a bit of shaky stuff here, but I think maybe that's me on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to look away.
What are the questions we got? We're getting distracted.
Yeah, let's go down. Constable over Stocker. Constable to Stocker or Sheed to Setterfield. This is a really tough one to me because
you got to get Setterfield in. You have to get Setterfield in.
Do you think he's a must if you're... So
if you can... Okay, so let's look at it here. So you go Constable to Stocker, and let's say you get 80 from Stocker.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get instead you hold. You maybe get 50 from the rookie. Hopefully.
Yeah.
There's 30 points. It's the difference now between Sheed and Setterfield. And
yeah. So what is that? Like, I don't think it's more than 30.
Well, at the moment it's been 30, but Setterfield's been pumping 120s and Sheed's
I don't expect that to continue. Like,
then it's not a this week decision then, is it? It's a cash generation.
It's a cash generation.
So I think you're better off going for that cash generation to leave you in good stead for following weeks than you are from going the immediate, what's my instant reward?
Yes. It's a really tough one because, what was that?
What did we?
Oh, Tommy,
hang
thank
on
you.
a sec.
Here we go. Tommy, welcome to the club. Thanks for subscribing, mate.
I forgot we put that new subscriber thing.
I was like, what is that sound?
Oh, more
Everyone's-
subscribe.
Everyone's jumping on. Rylan.
We
hey.
are gurus up in here. My days. This is insane.
So,
We
yeah,
need to
guys, if you haven't
doesn't-
already subscribed. You'll get a good shout out on the podcast.
This is going to look like an absolute shit show. You and I are over here looking at the
Yeah,
screen.
we look
People
completely
are
off.
subscribing. There's noises happening. This is...
Kids in a candy store we are. Look, I think with that,
Oh,
if that one
See,
there...
this quality is great. Can see Mitch's birthday fade. Who commented that? Who knew it was your birthday? Did you announce that publicly?
I didn't actually. Is that a total guess? Because my birthday was 2 days ago. I don't know if
actually
people
was.
knew that. I think Twitter does say something.
Happy birthday to Mitch.
Yeah,
Happy
thank
birthday
you.
to you, Mum.
Thank you. I tried to sneak past work, but then someone outed me, and it was all birthday central. But that Sheed, Constable, Setterfield, I'd go with your gut on that one. I think that there's every chance that Sheed even outscores someone like a Setterfield this week, and if that happens, it kickstarts his cash generation. That's a gut test for me. I really struggle to split that one. So I think if you've got your own read, I think the safest play is probably to go Setterfield because a lot of people will be doing it. There is still a chance the stocker flops, and if that happens, you're really missing out on something for not much of the game.
Thoughts on Paul McCock? He's one of the better players in the AFL. Old Paul McCock. Yeah. I think I'll be trading him in next week. That's great from Eddie.
He's a shady little guy, but he's
Someone said Hayden Young up from Constable.
So Constable to Hayden Young.
Your thoughts, because I'm jaded. When I think about Hayden Young,
we've got to forgive Hayden Young for last week.
Well, we do, but when I think about Hayden Young, I think about Nick Dacos.
Yeah, but they're not the same price anymore. Like
Well,
you might not be able to get there. So.
Okay, so why do we forgive Young? Talk to us about that.
First possession of the second quarter, goes up for intercept mark. Nearly had it, by the way, which would have been great.
Yeah.
Gets nearly knocked out, spends the next 20 minutes on the bench in concussion protocol, comes back onto the field. Thank you, Eddie, for subscribing. Comes back onto the field, immediately gets a -3, doesn't get any more points that quarter. So second quarter, he had 26 in the first, -3 in the second. Look, I think we've got to forgive him for that knock. It obviously threw him around.
But do we give him for his lack of observable thirst? Because I can't forgive him for that.
He still scored 88 last year. Like with all the
average 88?
Yeah, average 88. So with all the lack of observable thirst, he's still close to that top 6. And he's someone that he's a good player. He's young. Look,
yes, he is.
He is. He is Hayden Young.
Was that intentional, or did you slip into that one?
No, I just slipped into that one.
You're
But
that
look,
good.
it's tough to trade into. But
Yeah.
he might be. If you can get there, it might not be the worst.
But if you can get to
player.
Nick Dacos, we're ticking that more.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'd definitely rather
Which
go
is only
there.
what's the difference? 40k at the moment.
The difference is now 40. 38k.
Okay.
So
I like that. People referencing the cyclist or Davey on the field for Constable.
I'm going the cyclist in the showdown for that one. I reckon he'll get up for that.
Yep. Okay.
think,
Cyclist. Thanks for that.
Question. Constable. We've touched on that as well. Callahan to Zeeble.
Oh, Mike Litteris. That's one of my favourite ones too. That's a good one. I like that.
Shout out to you. Can't pronounce that name, but yeah, good comment. Hunter Clark. Hunter Clark is another interesting name, actually. We should touch on him because...
Oh, I thought you meant like interesting name from a punny.
It is an interesting name, but well, not really. But could he get more responsibility with steal out? I think so. It's a risky move.
What's he priced at?
I think he's around that Will Day mark. Let me just quickly look it up.
So where does that leave you in the long term? But where we talked about Sheasel, Zeeble potentially being guys that swing up there, where does that leave him? He's not going to be a guy that stays in your team.
I have more faith that he's closer to the top 6 in a Hunter Clark than I do a Stocker, but there is a 100k difference. So I think that there's probably a more upside in a Hunter Clark than a Stocker.
Yeah.
So if you've already got Day, if you don't have Day, I'm going him every day of the week. But Clark could be a sneaky option. I picked him up in draft. I picked him up over a Stocker because I think he'll score more. But obviously in Classic, he's costing more. So if you're bold, I think he could be a big play.
What about trading Rosie? So some people talk about Rosie being their only way.
No, don't trade Rosie.
I think that's a no. We're talking about getting in Zeeble, but if that's your only way to do it, then I think you're it's not the right way to go about it.
He's nearly guaranteed to be top 6 in his line. The reason I'm okay trading like a McRae is because there's very real questions about him being a top 8.
Yeah, the role is still there.
The role's still there.
Solid.
He had the Hayden Young last week. He had the 20-minute concussion protocol. Still came out, hit a 85.
Yeah.
So
I think that's definitely
I think he's going to be
hold
fine.
on
And I think he played really well in the showdown last year. So he's got good numbers in that matchup there as well. Any love for Jack Bowes? No. There is no love for Jack Bowes.
Don't even worry about it.
550k. I think you've got options below, options above. His break even means that he's going the wrong way in terms of cash. So no, I'm not going there. Oh, sorry, I'm talking Bowie actually. Jack Bowes. I'm talking about the wrong player. It's still a no for me though.
I was still a no. Like I wasn't disagreeing with the no part, but
69 break even. I think he's still someone because Stewart was named, wasn't he? That was the other surprising thing.
No, but this is why we don't.
Was that the Sunday?
This is why we don't trust Geelong.
Yeah.
What is going on there?
He's in the team.
Yeah, but what?
So what does that do to his role? I'd want to watch it. I don't want to go into that blind with the Bows. So. I don't know. Geelong could pull another fast one on us, and I don't want to trust that. Let's maybe hit 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap this up.
Wrap it up. Let everyone go prep for the footy.
That's right.
Big Tigers win. What do we got? Is it worth paying up for Caminiti? Rather than going for a basement Van Rooyen.
I would be going Caminiti over a Van Rooyen.
He looked good last week, eh?
He did. He looked more mobile than your standard key forward.
It's the kind of game where when a rookie like that plays that kind of game, they buy themselves 2 or 3 weeks.
I think so.
Do you know what I mean?
And you've got the low break even.
Yeah.
He's guaranteed to go up in price.
Yeah. So pay up. So it's 48k they're saying here is the difference. I think you try to find a way to pay up.
I think I'd be doing that, yes.
Yeah. Van Rooyen, what kind of, what is he a key position player?
He's a key forward, I think.
Yeah,
so I think he's the Max Gordon replacement this week.
Okay,
he's not going to play any ruck time, I don't think. I think he's just going to be the key forward with Grundy going in.
Playing that role as a young fella too is very difficult.
Yeah, I mean he's in a good team with the Demons, but they also do have a lot of other good options to go for. Yeah.
You haven't opened your second beer. What's going on here,
mate?
Hang on.
I'm asking too many bloody questions.
You're doing too much talking. I better do some talking so you can finish your beer. What do we got? Oh, I just keep coming back to that Paul McColl question. It's less of a question, more of a statement, isn't it? Thoughts again.
Loving it. Let's keep going down.
What do we got? We got any newies coming through? Going early, but Darcy Parish top 8. We'll find a way to get him in next week. Contract year, and he looks. What are your thoughts on? Let me give my thoughts on.
Okay, hit me with Darcy Parish.
Parish, there is every chance. Absolutely, don't get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you in the slightest. Darcy Parish has the capability to be a top 8 midfielder. To be honest, I think he even has the capability to be a top 4 fantasy midfielder in the comp. Do I think he's going to do it this year? No. Am I looking to trading him in? No, because the thing for me is I've always just seen him as this might sound harsh, and I'm going to get crucified by Essendon fans, but I just see him as a bit of a fair weather sailor.
Thanks, Joseph. Welcome aboard, mate.
Subscribe, you beauty. I just see him as a bit of a fair weather sailor, and I need to stick to my guns of picking players that I really enjoy watching, that I really love the fact that they'll go out, they'll get it done in all aspects every week against all oppositions. And for me, I just don't have the full confidence that Darcy Parish is that guy when the chips are down, that he's going to score the way he does when Essendon are blowing teams out.
They've had 2 great matchups so far, and he squeaked out 103 and 107. Last game, he had 67% time on ground. You can look at that glass half full, glass half empty. You know, is his time on ground going to drop? I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case, but I agree with you. I prefer players that, even when the game's not on their terms, they can still, at least get a decent score. So.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I reckon that'll do it. Let these people go out and get ready for their trades.
That was good fun. We'll try. If people enjoyed being involved, just let us know. We'll try. And I think we had the comments kind of popping up there on the screen, but we'll try and get those repositioned and work on a few things, iron out a few of the details. But that was enjoyable.
Yeah, we'll try and make this a thing, a Friday afternoon beers. So guys, put that into your calendar next week. I think we've got daylight savings ending next week as well. So it actually might even be an hour earlier. Because it'll be the same time for us. So we'll tweet that one out over on socials. But if
Mitch
you guys
might even drink his beers next time.
Yeah, I'm talking too much, mate. There's lots of chat about.
I'll bring these beers over. You don't even drink your beers.
It's not as good as my beers. But make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the live show, and subscribe so we can, get you guys in for more content moving forward.
Have you got the outro music queued?
Yeah, let's
get
get ready. Hopefully it's the right one. But we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the round, and we'll catch you for the round review next week. Laters.